The galaxy was in chaos. Every major world, every empire, every outpost was trying to understand what had just happened near Earth. A strange energy wave had passed through space, fast, silent, unstoppable. It didn't destroy, it didn't burn. It simply changed everything it touched. Communications failed. Long-range sensors went blind. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was afraid of one small blue planet. And yet, inside the Sol system things were calm. Too calm. Far beneath the frozen ice of Antarctica, inside a base known only as Sight Horizon, hundreds of scientists worked in silence. The air was cold and still, except for the steady hum of machines buried deep under the Earth's crust. In the center of the main chamber stood a giant structure, a sphere made of black metal surrounded by glowing rings of energy. It was Project Dawn, humanity's most secret creation. The leader of the facility, Dr. Mira Kovac, stared at the readings on her console. Her hands shook slightly, but her eyes were full of awe. "It worked," she whispered. "The phase field is stable." A younger engineer asked nervously, "Does the council know?" Dr. Kovac gave a faint smile. "Oh, they know," she said. "That's the point." Up in Earth's orbit, aboard Orbital Station Eden, Admiral Reyes stood in front of a window overlooking the glowing blue planet. Behind him, officers rushed between consoles, watching reports from every corner of human space. One officer turned, his voice tense. "Sir, alien fleets are moving. The Council just declared a state of emergency. They think we've built a weapon." Reyes didn't respond immediately. He simply watched the stars. Then he said quietly, "They called us primitive. Now they'll see what that word really means." Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, panic spread through the alien nations. The Varn Empire lost 5 deep space communication networks. The Trell Dominion reported strange distortions near their jump gates. Even the peaceful Arkan Collective, who had once helped humans join the Union, began shutting down their borders. A council broadcast echoed through the stars. "Effective immediately, all contact with the human system is suspended. Prepare for potential hostilities." Warlord Zareth stood on his flagship, the Crimson Vow, staring at the holographic projection of Earth. The light from the human system pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. He growled, "If it's a weapon, we destroy it before they finish it." Back at Sight Horizon, the humans continued their work. Dr. Kovac's team was ready for Phase 2. The giant sphere of Project Dawn began to spin faster and faster. Rings of light formed around it, glowing brighter with every second. One technician shouted, "Power levels are climbing. We're reaching thresholds never recorded." Kovac's eyes glowed with reflection from the light. "Hold it steady," she ordered. "This is what we built it for." The base trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Energy surged through underground tunnels, lighting up miles of cables and reactors. A voice came through the intercom, "Admiral Reyes on secure line." Kovac pressed a button. The Admiral's image appeared, calm as ever. "Doctor," Reyes said, "the galaxy is watching. Are we ready to show them what humanity truly is?" Kovac nodded. "Project Dawn is ready, sir." Reyes gave a slow nod. "Then begin." The command was given. The black sphere at the center of the base burst with light, a deep, golden glow spreading in all directions. The frozen walls of Antarctica shone as if the ice itself had caught fire. The energy rose through the crust, through the oceans, through the sky, and into orbit. In a few seconds, it reached the shield of Earth's defense satellites. Then it exploded outward, not as destruction but as creation. A massive ring of light formed around the solar system, glowing faintly like a second sun. Every human ship, every outpost, every colony received the same message simultaneously. Project Dawn, Phase 1 complete. Maintain blackout protocol. And then silence. The galaxy watched in fear. Alien fleets approached the edge of the human energy field, scanning and studying. But none could cross. Their ships simply stopped. Engines failed. Weapons went offline. Energy signatures went dark. It was as if space itself refused to let them in. Inside the council chamber, Warlord Zareth slammed his claws against the table. "This is an act of war," he shouted. "They have sealed an entire system. We must strike before it spreads." But others disagreed. An older alien scholar spoke softly, his voice trembling. "No weapon can do that. This is something else. Something ancient." "What do you mean?" Zareth demanded. The scholar looked at the hologram of the glowing solar system. "The last time we saw this kind of energy was before our empires existed. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes listened to the incoming reports. Alien fleets approaching. Dozens of them, sir. Energy shield holding steady. Phase 2 ready on your command. Reyes nodded. His voice was calm yet cold. Let them come closer. Let them see the light before the dawn. He turned to the observation window. The sky was no longer black. It shimmered with golden waves from the Project Dawn field. For the first time in history, Earth glowed like a living star. Across the galaxy, transmissions from frightened worlds filled the airwaves. What is that field? Did humans build a star? Are they rewriting the laws of physics? No one had answers. Only one thing was clear. The species they had once called primitive had done something no one else could. Ending hook for Part 3. On the far edge of the galaxy, deep in the cold void beyond known space, a hidden probe suddenly activated. It sent a single message back to the Council, short but terrifying. Object detected. Origin, human. Size, unknown. Moving fast. And then the signal cut out. Something was coming. And the galaxy had no idea what it was. Across the galaxy, fear began to spread like wildfire. For centuries the galaxy had known peace, or at least, a balance of power. The great empires ruled their sectors. The Council controlled trade. The strong dominated the weak. And in that balance humans were at the very bottom, tolerated, ignored and often mocked. But that balance was now breaking. Something was happening around Earth that no one could explain. A massive ring of light surrounded the entire solar system, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. It blocked all communications, all scans, all entry. Even the most advanced alien fleets couldn't pass through. To them it was like the laws of physics had changed, only near Earth. In the Grand Galactic Council, chaos ruled. Holograms of leaders shouted over each other, voices filled with panic and confusion. This is impossible. How can they generate that much power? They were still using chemical engines 100 years ago. It must be a weapon, we need to act now. At the center of the hall, Warlord Zareth stood silent. His red eyes burned with anger. They dare defy us, he muttered. Humans have always been trouble. Now they've gone too far. He slammed his claw against the table. Mobilize the Dominion fleet. I will end this madness myself. The Council objected, but they didn't stop him. Fear had made everyone desperate. Meanwhile, on orbital station Eden, Admiral Reyes received the latest reports. Alien fleets are on the move, sir. Multiple empires are converging on our border. Reyes didn't look surprised. He stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. The light from Project Dawn shimmered faintly across the display. Let them come, he said softly. They won't get far. His second-in-command, Commander Imani, frowned. Sir, they think we've built a weapon. If they open fire... They won't, Reyes interrupted. Not yet. They're too afraid to shoot at what they don't understand. Imani hesitated. And if they do? Reyes turned, his eyes calm but sharp. Then we show them what fear really is. Far away, in a small alien research station orbiting a dying star, scientists were watching the human system with growing terror. Every time they tried to scan Earth, their instruments overheated. The readings showed energy levels beyond known limits, more than any black hole, any reactor, any star. Dr. Trell, the lead researcher, spoke quietly, his long fingers trembling. This isn't power. It's rewriting quantum space itself. Another scientist gasped. That's impossible. No race has that kind of control. Trell looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. Exactly. No race does. But maybe something else does. And the humans have found it. The station fell silent. Back on the flagship Crimson Vow, Warlord Zareth's fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. Thousands of warships emerged from hyperspace, surrounding the golden barrier that shielded Earth. The light rippled around them like water disturbed by a stone. Zareth looked at the glowing ring on his view screen. Such arrogance, he growled. Activate weapons. Let's see what their shield is made of. His tactical officer hesitated. Sir, we don't even know what this field is. It could. Fire. Zareth roared. Dozens of plasma cannons lit up space with blinding light. Beams struck the golden ring. And vanished. No explosions. No impacts. The energy simply disappeared, like stones thrown into an endless ocean. Zareth's eyes widened. What happened? A frightened technician turned from her console. Sir, our weapons, they're gone. The energy was absorbed. Every trace. Absorbed? Zareth repeated in disbelief. By what? No one answered. And then the unthinkable happened. A deep hum echoed through the fleet's sensors. The golden barrier pulsed once. Every ship's engine flickered. Every weapon went offline. Zaratha's bridge filled with alarms. Shut it down. Reboot systems. I can't, sir, it's not responding. And then on every screen a message appeared. Simple, short, human. You called us primitive. Do you still think so? The message vanished. The barrier pulsed again, and the entire fleet was thrown back through hyperspace, tossed across light years like toys in a storm. The galaxy watched in horror as Zaratha's mighty armada disappeared. Millions saw the transmission before it was cut. No one knew where his ships went, or if they even survived. Some said they were vaporized. Others whispered that they were trapped inside the barrier, alive but frozen in time. Whatever happened, one thing was certain. No one wanted to fight humans anymore. In the council chamber, silence replaced fear. The alien leaders stared at the empty space where Zaratha's image had once appeared. One of them spoke quietly, almost shaking. What have the humans done? No one answered. Finally, the old scholar who had spoken before rose slowly from his chair. He leaned on his cane and said, "This power. I've seen it before. Long ago when the first empires were young. It's the same energy used by the ancients, the ones who vanished after reshaping the stars." He looked around the chamber. And if the humans have found that, we are not the masters of this galaxy anymore. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes stood in the command room. The news of Zaratha's defeat had already reached him. He looked calm, but the faint smile on his face didn't last long. Dr. Kovac appeared on the holoscreen from Site Horizon. Phase 3 is ready, Admiral. But once we activate it, there's no going back. Reyes nodded slowly. We never planned to go back. He turned to Commander Imani. Send the signal. Tell every colony, every outpost, the dawn is rising. Ending hook for Part 4. Far beyond the galaxy, in the dark regions of intergalactic space, a massive shadow moved. Sensors from dying probes captured a single image. Something ancient, something alive, drawn to the light of Project Dawn. A whisper came through the void, faint and cold. We remember that power. And we are coming. The galaxy held its breath. Weeks had passed since Warlord Zaratha's mighty fleet vanished at the edge of the human barrier. No wreckage had been found. No distress signals. Nothing. Every empire stopped their movements. For the first time in history, no one dared to approach Earth. Rumors spread across the stars, that the humans had discovered godlike power, that they had destroyed Zaratha's fleet with a single thought. Some even believed the humans were no longer a species, but a force of nature. And yet, within the Sol system, Earth was silent. No messages left the barrier. No signals came out. Only the faint golden glow of Project Dawn, pulsing softly like the rhythm of a living heart. Deep inside Site Horizon, under Antarctica, Dr. Mira Kovac stood in the control chamber surrounded by flickering holograms. The air buzzed with low energy. She hadn't slept in days. Her assistant asked nervously, "Doctor, are we really going to start Phase 3? We still don't understand the full effect." Kovac's voice was calm. No one ever understands what they fear. But fear is how evolution begins. She looked up at the giant black sphere, now floating several feet above the ground, humming with bright golden veins. Project Dawn wasn't built to destroy, she said softly. It was built to awaken. In orbit, Admiral Elias Reyes watched the solar system through the command deck window. Every planet, every moon shimmered with energy. The golden ring that had once surrounded Earth now stretched far beyond Pluto. A communication officer turned to him. "Sir, the shield is stable. Energy buildup continues to rise. The readings are beyond measurement." Reyes gave a slow nod. "Good. It's time." He turned to his second-in-command, Commander Imani. "Begin the sequence." Imani hesitated. "Sir, once we begin, there's no turning back." Reyes looked at her, tired, calm, certain. That's how humanity has always done things. In deep space, outside the human barrier, alien fleets gathered in silence. None dared to attack again, but they wanted to see, to know. Hundreds of scanners, probes, and drones hovered at the edge, all aimed toward the solar system. Then suddenly, something changed. The golden light flickered. The barrier rippled like waves in water. And from within the light, a shadow began to form. At first, it looked like a blur, a distortion of space itself. Then came the thunder. A low, deep vibration that shook every ship across hundreds of light years. "Is that a ship?" one alien commander whispered. The answer came as the shape grew clearer. A massive structure emerged from the golden field, larger than any ship ever built. Its surface glowed with shifting patterns of gold and black. Energy flowed across its hull like living veins. It didn't move like a normal vessel. It didn't drift or burn fuel. It simply appeared, folding space around it. The scanner struggled to read it. Every frequency failed. Every attempt to analyze it returned the same words: unknown structure, human origin. The ship's name appeared faintly across its side, etched in old Earth letters. Titan-class vessel, Erebus. When the Council saw the name, they didn't understand it. But for humans, it meant something ancient from their mythology. Erebus, the god of darkness and creation. Across the galaxy, panic turned into awe. The Erebus dwarfed every known ship. Cities could fit inside its engines, and its wings stretched wider than entire moons. The Council immediately called an emergency session. "This is impossible," shouted one alien diplomat. "They can't have built this. It's larger than any orbital ring." Another voice trembled. "It's not just large, it's alive. The energy readings show movement inside, like a heartbeat." An old scholar whispered the words none wanted to say. "They have built something that should not exist." On the Crimson Dawn station, an alien fleet commander sent a desperate transmission to his superiors. "Object Erebus it's bending gravity itself. Our ships are drifting toward it." His second officer screamed, "We can't hold position. Engines failing." And then, as quickly as it had arrived, the Erebus moved. Not by thrust but by will. It shifted through the barrier into open space, leaving behind a glowing trail of golden light. Inside the ship, Admiral Reyes stood on the observation deck. Below him stretched the endless abyss of stars. The Erebus moved smoothly, quietly, surrounded by faint waves of energy. Dr. Kovac's voice echoed through the speakers. "All systems stable. Reality field engaged. The core is alive." Reyes nodded. "Then the galaxy will finally see what humanity has built." He looked out toward the dark void where Zaratha's fleet had vanished. "They called us primitive," he said softly. "Let them say it again." The Erebus stopped just beyond the human barrier. Every alien ship nearby froze in place. Weapons online, shields raised, terrified to act. They waited for an attack. But none came. Instead, the Erebus broadcasted a single message across all frequencies. A calm human voice echoed through the stars. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth. Humanity does not seek war. But we will not be mocked, nor controlled, nor forgotten. You called us primitive, yet you stand in the light we created. Remember this moment, for it marks the dawn of a new age." And then the transmission ended. But before the galaxy could breathe, the Erebus opened its core. Golden light burst outward, wrapping around nearby ships, disarming them without harm. Their weapons melted into dust, their energy cells drained to nothing. No destruction. No fire. No blood. Just silence and awe. The Erebus turned slowly and vanished into the golden field, leaving behind only the echo of its power. Across the galaxy, no one spoke for days. Empires that had once mocked Earth now whispered in fear. Religions began forming around the human light. And for the first time in history, the Galactic Council asked a question none dared before. What if humanity was never primitive? What if they were only waiting? Ending hook for Part 5, The War That Never Happened. Far across the stars, in the ruins of an ancient world long forgotten, a hidden machine awakened. It had been silent for millions of years. Its sensors locked onto the energy of Project Dawn. A mechanical voice spoke for the first time since the dawn of the galaxy. "Humanity has repeated the signal. The cycle begins again." The galaxy changed overnight. After the appearance of the Erebus, no empire dared to speak against Earth again. Trade routes went silent. Armies froze in place. The Grand Galactic Council, once filled with laughter and arrogance, now met in whispering fear. For the first time in centuries there was peace. But it wasn't peace born from diplomacy. It was the silence that comes when everyone is too afraid to make the first move. On the floor of the Grand Council, Chancellor Vorax struck the table with his claws. "This can't go on," he shouted. "One world, one species, holds the entire galaxy hostage." The other counselors didn't look at him. Their eyes stayed fixed on the hologram of the Erebus, slowly rotating above the center table. The golden lines across its hull shimmered softly, like veins filled with light. An older scholar of the Zathra race spoke quietly. "Hostage? No. They haven't attacked anyone. They only showed what they can do." Vorax hissed. "And what happens when they decide to stop showing and start using it?" No one answered. Far away in Earth's orbit, Admiral Reyes sat aboard the Erebus. The giant ship drifted silently among the stars, its surface calm, its core pulsing like a heartbeat. He stared at a projection of the galaxy, and at the golden waves of energy still spreading from Sol System. Project Dawn's influence was growing faster than anyone predicted. Commander Imani approached him. "Sir, the signal from Dawn is still expanding. It's now reached the edge of the Orion Arm." Reyes didn't reply. He watched the glowing map as lines of light crawled outward like roots of a tree. Imani hesitated. "Sir, should we shut it down?" Reyes finally spoke. "No. It's not something we can shut down anymore. We started it, and now it's awake." Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, in the ruins of the world known as Alaris 9, dust began to rise. Deep under the planet's crust, something ancient moved. A structure the size of a mountain stirred to life, shaking off layers of stone and ash. Its eyes, massive circular lenses, glowed with the same golden light that came from Earth. Inside, a mechanical voice spoke in a long-forgotten language. Then, in the universal tongue. Signal match confirmed. Origin, human. Design pattern, Dawn protocol. Activation level, critical. The machine paused as if remembering. The cycle begins again. Back on Earth, Dr. Mira Kovacs stood in the underground command center of Site Horizon. The black sphere, the heart of Project Dawn, floated silently above the chamber floor. Its surface shimmered like a living sun. Her assistant ran toward her, holding a data tablet. "Doctor, there's something else out there. Something responding to our signal." Kovacs' head snapped up. "Responding? From where?" The assistant swallowed. "Coordinates match. Alaris 9. But that planet's been dead for millions of years." For a moment, Kovacs didn't move. Then she whispered almost to herself, "So it's true." Admiral Reyes received the report hours later aboard the Erebus. He stared at the data for a long time. Imani frowned. "Sir, what is it? Another empire reacting to Dawn?" Reyes shook his head slowly. "No. Something older." He stood and looked out the massive viewport, watching the stars drift past. The Dawn signal wasn't just human. It's ancient technology, older than the Council, older than the empires. We didn't create it, we reactivated it. Imani's eyes widened. "Then what did we wake up?" Reyes answered softly. "Something that remembers us." In the Council chambers, the panic deepened. New readings showed strange energy surges across several dead systems, all synchronized with the Dawn signal. Planets long thought lifeless were lighting up again. Machines buried in their cores began to hum, broadcasting the same words. The cycle begins again. The Council tried to reach Earth for answers. But Earth didn't respond. Every attempt to break through the human barrier failed. Communications distorted, messages looped endlessly, and probes vanished into light. Fear turned to anger. Warlord Vorax slammed his fist into the table. "This is their doing. They've awakened something none of us can stop." A quiet voice spoke from the shadows. The Zelnari ambassador, an old race of scholars. "No," he said softly. "They may have restored something that was meant to be." Back on the Erebus, alarms flared. "Admiral. Massive energy surge, Alaris 9. The view screen flickered to life, showing a colossal structure rising from the planet's crust. It wasn't a ship. It was a fortress, a city-sized construct with towers that reached into orbit. And at its center burned the same golden fire as Dawn. Dr. Kovacs' voice came through the channel, tight with fear. "Admiral, whatever that thing is, it's linking to us. The signal pattern matches Dawn's command core." The Erebus shook violently as golden tendrils of energy reached across light years, connecting to the ship's systems. "Shut it down," Imani shouted. "It's overriding the engines." Reyes stood still, his eyes locked on the view. The fortress wasn't attacking, it was sending a message. Lines of golden light formed symbols across the Erebus's hull. Slowly they translated into words. "You have returned. The architects will rise once more." The lights dimmed. The golden energy faded. Everyone on the bridge stood frozen in silence. Finally Imani whispered, "Sir, who are the architects?" Reyes exhaled slowly. "If the stories are true, they were the first. The ones who built the galaxy before any of us existed. The ones who vanished when the stars were still young." He turned toward the map again. Now dozens of worlds glowed, each one responding to the Dawn signal. Reyes said quietly, "We thought we were bringing light to the galaxy. Maybe, we just woke the ones who made it." For the first time, Admiral Reyes felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not pride, but fear. He looked out at the stars and whispered to himself, "The war may not be between us and the galaxy anymore. It might be between life and what came before it." Ending hook for Part 6, The Architects Awaken. On a distant moon beyond the Council's borders, an alien archaeologist kneels before a glowing wall. Symbols of dawn flicker across ancient stone. He records a message in panic. To anyone who receives this, they're not human weapons. They're keys. Humanity didn't build them. They were chosen to activate them. Then the transmission cuts off. The moon goes silent. And somewhere beyond the stars, 1,000 ancient eyes begin to open. The galaxy slept uneasily. Every empire, every race, every world that had once mocked humanity now stayed silent. No one traded. No one fought. All attention was fixed on the expanding light from the Sol system, and the dead planets that had begun to glow again. The dawn signal had awakened something ancient. Something that the galaxy had forgotten, but that had never truly died. On a lonely moon beyond the Council's borders, an alien archaeologist named Thren Val stumbled through a long-buried temple. He had been studying strange ruins for decades, ruins that predated every known civilization. But today the walls themselves were glowing. Golden lines snaked through the stone, pulsing like veins filled with light. Thren's recorder floated beside him, capturing every detail as he spoke, voice trembling. To anyone who receives this, they're not human weapons. They're keys. Humanity didn't build them. They were chosen to activate them. Before he could say more, the ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. A deep hum echoed through the tunnels, the same low vibration that scanners detected when the Erebus first appeared. Thren looked up in terror. The symbols on the wall moved, reshaping into one single phrase, now written in the universal tongue. The architect's return. The light consumed everything. Thren Val and his moon were never heard from again. Across the galaxy, chaos spread. Every major communication channel carried the same encrypted broadcast, a pattern of tones and pulses that no one could translate. In the Grand Council chamber, frightened leaders gathered once more. The hologram of the galaxy glowed bright, dotted with golden marks, each one representing a newly awakened sight. Chancellor Vorax slammed his claws against the table. 50 worlds. 50 dead systems now emitting the same signature as the human's dawn signal. You see? It's spreading. This is the end. But the Zelnari ambassador, calm as always, said softly, "No, Chancellor. It is the beginning. The architects have always returned when the galaxy reaches the edge of collapse." Vorax hissed. "And how do you know this?" The ambassador looked down. "Because they left warnings. You just never listened." Far from the Council, in Earth's orbit, the Erebus drifted above the blue planet like a silent guardian. Inside, Admiral Reyes stood before the central observation window, staring at the faint golden lines forming across the Erebus hull. Dr. Mira Kovacs' hologram appeared beside him. "Admiral," she said, her voice low, "the dawn signal is no longer under our control. It's self-directing. We can't stop it." Reyes frowned. "Self-directing how?" "It's linking us to the ancient sites. Every one of them. It's trying to rebuild something. A network." Reyes turned to face her. "A network of what?" Kovac hesitated before answering. "Of creators? Or gods?" In deep space, near the edge of the galaxy, a vast structure began to form. Dozens of fragments of metal, some the size of cities, drifted toward one another, guided by unseen force. As they touched, golden energy stitched them together like glowing threads. From the darkness, a new shape emerged. It wasn't a ship. It was a being, mechanical, vast, and alive. It had no face, no eyes, only the voice of thunder that echoed across subspace. The cycle resumes. All life that remembers shall be judged. All who build beyond their wisdom shall be unmade. Every ship within 1,000 light-years lost power. Even the mighty fleets of the Galactic Union went dark as the voice spread across the stars. Back on the Erebus, the crew watched in stunned silence. Monitors went blank. Lights dimmed. Engines froze. Commander Imani turned toward Reyes. "Sir. The architect's signal just overrode everything. Even our defense systems." Reyes' jaw tightened. "So they think they can control us." He turned to his comms officer. "Send the counter signal. Use Dawn's core frequency." The officer hesitated. "Sir, that could destabilize." "Do it," Reyes ordered. The Erebus shuddered. Energy surged through its core, the hull glowing brighter than a sun. The architect's voice faltered. "For just a second, before returning deeper, louder. Humanity. You carry the spark of the first makers. Yet you do not understand it. Why do you resist? Reyes looked up toward the stars and whispered, because we never kneel. All across the galaxy, alien races watched as the impossible unfolded. The Erebus, one ship, began pushing back against the signal of the architects. Golden light turned white, colliding with waves of darkness in a storm that tore through subspace. Entire sectors of space flickered like candlelight in a windstorm. On Alaris 9, the giant fortress machine trembled, its towers cracking. On ancient worlds, the glowing lines dimmed, fading into silence. Dr. Kovac shouted through comms, "It's working. You're forcing their network to break sync." Reyes stood firm. "Then keep the pressure up." But the Erebus's systems were overloading. Panels sparked, the floor shook, and the crew struggled to hold their ground. Imani yelled over the chaos, "We can't hold this, sir. The ship's tearing itself apart." Reyes gritted his teeth. "Then let it. If this ship dies, it dies doing something no one else ever dared, standing up to gods." And then, silence. The light vanished. Every scanner across the galaxy went dark for exactly 13 seconds. Then, slowly, stars began to shine again. The Erebus drifted in orbit, smoke rising from its hull. Half its systems were gone, but it was still alive. Commander Imani blinked at her console. "The architect's signal, it's gone." Dr. Kovac's voice came through faintly. "No, not gone. Sleeping." Admiral Reyes looked out at the stars, his expression unreadable. "Then let them sleep. If they wake again, they'll know who woke them first." In the council chambers, the news arrived hours later. The counselors listened in silence, unable to believe what they were hearing, that humans had fought something beyond time, and survived. Zareth, the once proud warlord who had mocked Earth months ago, lowered his head. "They stood against gods," he said quietly. "And the gods blinked first." No one laughed now. On Earth, Project Dawn's chamber lay silent. The black sphere that once pulsed with light was now dull and still. But deep within it, under layers of crystal and alloy, a faint heartbeat continued to glow. Just one pulse. Then another. A voice, soft and ancient, whispered from within the dark. Cycle paused. Awaiting next dawn. Ending hook, series finale tease. At the far edge of the galaxy, in the ruins of a dead system, a small beacon flickers to life. It sends one message across the void, not to the architects, not to Earth, but to something else beyond the stars. The humans have remembered. Begin the next sequence. The stars around the beacon turn red. And somewhere, in the dark beyond the galaxy, something answers. The story opens inside the Grand Galactic Council, a place where the most powerful alien races gather under a dome of shining stars. Thousands of eyes glow in different colors. Voices echo through the hall, cold, proud, and full of laughter. They were discussing the newest species to join the Galactic Union, humans from a small blue planet called Earth. One alien minister, his skin like molten silver, waved his hand dismissively. "Primitive creatures," he said. "They can barely fly between their own moons." Another added, "They build ships with metals instead of living alloys. They still breathe oxygen like animals." Laughter filled the room. Then came Warlord Zareth, commander of the Trell Dominion fleet. His sharp teeth glinted as he spoke. "They build metal toys and call them ships. Perhaps next they'll throw stones at our cruisers." The entire council roared with amusement. But in one corner of the galaxy, far away from that laughter, Admiral Elias Reyes of Earth's Defense Command stood silently aboard Orbital Station Eden, watching the broadcast from the council. His hands were behind his back, his uniform crisp and simple. The stars reflected in his eyes. Around him, a few younger officers watched nervously, hearing the aliens' mocking words. One of them muttered, "Sir, they're humiliating us again." Reyes didn't move. He didn't blink. He just whispered, calm but heavy with meaning. "Let them laugh. They don't know what's coming." The room went quiet. Everyone felt the weight in his voice. Far beyond the orbit of Mars, in the dark silence of space, something began to awaken. Hidden in a classified sector of the solar system was Project Dawn, a massive human structure built inside a hollowed asteroid. It had no lights, no signals, no signs of life. For decades, it had been silent, invisible to all scanners. Until now. At first, it was only a faint hum, like a soft vibration through the vacuum. Then instruments on the outer colony started picking it up, an unknown energy signature rising from Sol system. Across the galaxy, long-range scanners began detecting the same thing. The readings were impossible, energy levels higher than any known weapon or reactor. In the Grand Council chamber, alarms interrupted their laughter. A scientist shouted, "We are receiving a signal from the human system. Unknown source. Power readings are off the scale." The council chamber turned from laughter to confusion. Zareth frowned. "Impossible. They don't have that kind of power." But the data was clear. The energy field was real. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and growing stronger. Meanwhile, on Earth's orbital command deck, Admiral Reyes stood over a holographic display showing the solar system. Blue lights marked human ships and stations. At the edge of the map, a red wave was expanding outward. The signal. "Is the containment stable?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied a scientist. "The fusion matrix is active. But the energy signature will be detected across the galaxy." Reyes gave a thin smile. "Good. Let them see." In distant alien observatories, panic began to rise. Ships were being pulled off course. Communication relays started to flicker. Even the great shielded cities of the Varn Empire lost contact with their satellites. The energy wave from Earth bent spacetime itself, distorting everything in its path. One alien admiral shouted across the comms, "It's a weapon. The humans have activated a superweapon." But their scanners couldn't define it. There were no weapon signatures, no plasma trails, no radiation bursts. Just raw power, pure, silent, endless. Within hours, every major civilization was on alert. Fleets prepared for deployment. Worlds raised their defenses. No one understood what was happening. But humans did. For decades, Earth had been ignored, insulted, and underestimated. They had hidden their progress carefully, working in silence, learning from every alien technology they found. Project Dawn wasn't just an experiment. It was humanity's answer to the galaxy's arrogance. Something not meant for war, but powerful enough to end one before it began. Back in the Grand Council, tension filled the air. The energy readings spiked again. The hologram of the Sol system filled the chamber, showing bright light around the third planet, Earth. A scientist's voice trembled. "It's spreading across subspace channels. Our own systems are being affected. It's rewriting communication codes. We can't stop it." The lights in the chamber flickered. Static filled the air. One by one, the stars outside the dome shimmered unnaturally, as if something invisible was touching them. The council fell into silence. Zareth slammed his claws against the table. "Tell me that's not human technology," he roared. The scientist turned pale, his 4 eyes wide in terror. He whispered, "That can't be human, can it?" No one answered. The hologram of Earth glowed brighter, the pulse of energy turning from blue to white. And across the galaxy, every race, every leader who mocked humanity, suddenly felt a quiet, chilling realization. Something was coming from Earth. Something that no one could stop.